So what was your journey like when you went with Good Gum there? You know, your pitch, you were thinking, okay, will I get that deal, or was it just there, being there for the exposure?
For us, it was just to go out there on the national television, and we knew that we ticked all the boxes for Shark Tank. It was a business started at home. It would make sense for Shark Tank to, put us out there that two brothers took a small loan from their father and built a business.
Right. Looks like you have only come here for marketing, right? Maybe you don't want the funding, or probably you don't need the mentorship.
Going on to Shark Tank is like getting 3 crores worth of free marketing.
Wow.
Even if you don't get a deal, even if you probably get snagged by the sharks, like you made it there, right? So you still made a point.
Celebrities out there, can they influence general public?
100%. I feel like there's a requirement for these celebrities to take ownership of what they endorse. Jasprit Bumrah endorses Thumbs Up. I'm pretty sure he does not even take a sip of that. Akshay Kumar, he did not endorse that Pan Masala brand, or he actually put a lot of money into charity. But then he went on to go and endorse that Sting, which is that energy drink with a lot of sugar, right? And that one drink is equivalent to your daily allowance of sugar of a day.
Oh my.
So WHO says you can consume only 25 grams of added sugar in a day. A lot of people think, oh, I'm drinking juice, I don't drink tea and coffee.
Correct.
The fruits by itself have natural sugar, and if consumed without the fiber, if it's strained, it's equivalent to drinking just water and sugar.
Oh. जब भी आप Instagram खोलते हो ना, people only talk about brown bread.
So a lot of these brands do what? 100% maida in the white bread. They will use 51% atta and 49% maida in that bread. It still doesn't look very brown. They add a color, 150A, which is the color that is also added into Coca-Cola. So a brown bread is just brown because of the color. It's not like if you're eating brown bread, that's like the healthiest. That's not the case.
Your pitch is scripted by them, or it comes from you?
So the initial 40-second pitch that people usually walk into the tank and give is...
Right, so how do they go on the tank?
There are like 4 steps of... The first round is just... The second step is...
Hello everyone, this is Seema Vikas Gadia, and I welcome you all to yet another episode of our Ask the Expert series by Gen Online. In this series, we bring you insights from some of the best minds across industries. Today, we'll be talking about a story of innovation that proves that even the simplest idea can spark the biggest revolution. So what comes to your mind when you think of Shark Tank? Often it's complicated technology, clever business plans, and ideas that could change the world. It often seems like a place only for complex inventions. However, sometimes the biggest improvements come from looking at simple, everyday things in a new way. That's exactly what this entrepreneur showed us on Shark Tank India. He didn't bring a fancy gadget. Instead, he presented a totally different version of a common product. His idea was simple but revolutionary, and it really impressed the investors, leading to an amazing 4-shark deal. But here's the catch. He just started by asking, do you ever think about what's actually in your chewing gum? Well, being absolutely passionate about healthier food options, he focused on the plastic hidden inside the chewing gums, and that's when he went on to create India's first plastic-free all-natural chewing gum. Yes, you heard it right. It's India's first plastic-free, all-natural chewing gum. It offers a planet-friendly choice and proves that even everyday items can be reinvented for a healthier future. So let's hear it from the man himself, Mayank Nagori, founder GUD GUM. So hello Mayank, how have you been?
I've been well, thank you for having me here.
So Mayank, it's very interesting how in a country like India, everybody dreams of becoming an engineer. But for you, it was quite a wild transition, from a chemical engineer to a food entrepreneur. So when was that little voice in your brain which said, this is my calling, and, you pivoted towards food and more importantly, sustainable food? Yeah, we'd love to hear that from you.
Sure. So I think for me, it was always in the plan. Even when I was in high school, I was very intrigued about food or processed food, because when my friends around were eating Maggie, I was asking questions to my mother like, how does this stay good for a year while what you make at home does not stay good for a year? And I always used to read labels and look at these documentaries on Discovery,
Wow.
look at these food factory videos, etc. So I was always
Labels
quite
at what
intrigued.
age?
At the age of, in probably 7th grade, 8th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I wanted to always be a problem solver. So I did my plus two was in science and I wanted to be a doctor. I wrote my CET, in fact, aiming to get into a good medical college. But coming from a general merit background, it's often difficult to get a good seat. And from a Marwadi family background, my granny said, I'm not letting you go outside of Bangalore for 5 years. And for me, it would be very difficult to find a good seat here in Bangalore. So the second option was always, again, food.
Right.
So I saw that chemical engineering would give me like a whole worldview, and there was a small module called food processing in that, and I thought I'll do a master's in food science. So it was like a proper plan. So did a chemical engineering and then went on to do a master's in food science, and that's how my career transitioned.
Now that's quite interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people who are actually looking for that pivot change. I mean, for them it'll definitely be an inspiration. I feel GUD GUM has been a game changer. Absolutely innovative, but it's also scary when we think about, oh my God, I've been chewing plastic all my life. But we've also seen that there has not been any major disruption in this industry. How many can we count on? Boomer, Orbit, what else? Yeah, these were the names that we grew up with, right? I'm sure for you have the first movers advantage. But at the same time, now the challenges could have been many. So what were the first challenges that you had to overcome to bring this to life?
Why there's no disruption is because the market size is very small and people want to build businesses in the space where the market size is very large, right? Often when we walk into an investor's office, the first question we're asked is, what's the market size that you're looking to capture?
True.
And with a small product like chewing gum, it's not a large market, right? And that's why you don't see a lot of disruption in the space. And that's why it's only been Wrigley's and Perfetti. These are two large brands that have multiple brands underneath, like Centerfresh, Boomer, Orbit, Happydent, etc. The question was, even the smallest problem needs to be solved, right? You've got to start your business somewhere. So maybe right now the market size looks small as just a chewing gum brand. But going forward, if I'm an overall food brand where I'm being the good amongst the bad, that increases my overall market size as well. So I started very, open-minded. Even if it's a small industry, let's look at it as a good industry because there's not a lot of competition around, like you just mentioned.
Right.
So it was very easy for us to actually start off because we had complementary skill sets, myself and my younger brother. He knows how to make a product look good and I know how to make the product.
Great combination.
Yeah. And because of my MSc in food science and my few years of experience in a startup, before I started GUD GUM, I knew how to make products, how to procure raw material, how to get the necessary guidelines, labeling, etc. In order to make a supermarket ready product, right?
Wow.
And in the lockdown, both of us just made like initial batches in the kitchen, made a few small chewing gums, got it tested by our family friends, etc. And then Bhuvan, my younger brother, made the initial packaging designs, and we started off from a small 1 BHK home at the corner of our street. We just rented a house out, and I was the guy who was making the gums and had two other people who would pack the gums and dispatch the gums. So started very small. So initially it was very difficult to just get people to understand the value of the gum, right? Because we as a community have been growing up eating chewing gums that are 1 rupee a piece.
True.
Right?
The pan wala guy.
Exactly. And when I'm selling a pack of 15 at 99, it sounds very expensive.
True.
Right? Because majority of the chewing gums in the country sells at cigarette shops, and people usually smoke. And as a change that they need to get for their cigarette, they get chewing gum. And now to sell a 99 rupee product to the same consumer is obviously going to be difficult, right? But again, with the experience I had in the past, I knew exactly where to go and place the products. There's obviously a massive market. India is a huge population. And if you know exactly where your target consumers are and place your products in those very supermarkets or gourmet stores, you will definitely get the kind of traction you require. So initially it was very difficult for us to show value.
But Mayank, we've also seen that a lot of entrepreneurs say that, just focus on one thing. But you've been involved in multiple businesses. The soft corner, and of course you have a coffee outlet, and there's also a processed food brand, Hoodie Coffee, Hoodie Foods, if I'm not wrong. So how do you manage that? Because they say go deep, don't go wide, right? So it's very, I don't know how you balance and focus across all these business ventures. So has there been any learning from each venture? And if you could tell our audience, how do you manage it?
if you actually look at it from retrospection, you'll see I've not gone too wide. It's still deep.
Okay.
Example, at the soft corner, it's more of a passion project. I always grew up again thinking of owning an ice cream parlor or owning a business with my best friends, right?
Okay.
And we started this ice cream parlor just with the mindset to make enough money to go to Goa every year. That's
Acha.
all, right?
Okay.
So we know where to draw a line, and that's all we're at. All of us have our own main businesses, main jobs, and all we do is contribute 2 hours every week to the soft corner, and it's a well-oiled machine that's running, right? And our goals have been reached. So it's important to understand where to draw a line on your passion as
Right.
well. With respect to Hookie, which is which is the dehydrated or the processed food business, that was something that I started even before Good Gum,
Acha.
and I wanted to scale that, but I realized that it would be very difficult to scale a business like that because it's a very geographically restricted business where I'm catering to people of only Bangalore. So essentially, what the business does is you as a consumer can bring in food from your own home,
Wow.
and I will process that and give it to you in a ready-to-eat format like your MTR and Haldiram does.
Oh, that's a great boon for travelers.
Yeah. So you don't have to rely on the taste of what MTR thinks a dal fry should be like
Wow.
or what a Haldiram thinks a pav bhaji should be like. But you can bring food from your own favorite restaurant like a Shiv Sagar or a Sukh Sagar, and we'll process that without any preservatives and give it to you.
And what's the shelf life like?
Shelf life could be anywhere between 3 to 12 months.
Wow.
And we ship across the world. So again, coming back to the problem that we faced is it would be very restricted to Bangalore and would be very difficult to scale this to the
Right.
rest of India. And I said, okay, it's great that this business is running on an autopilot, and that's running on an autopilot. I don't even have to spend a lot of time on building that business. We don't do any marketing. We have like good word of mouth that spread because it's a one of a kind service, right?
Right.
So in fact, the other two businesses that I have, they're all in their places, but my major focus is only on Good Gum.
Good Gum.
So to the audience, the takeaway here is that you need to know where you can draw a full stop or a comma on your businesses. A lot of people get very married to their idea and they're
Right.
stuck there, right? So it's okay to move on. It's okay to probably even stop something or close something down or let it be at where it is because not everything can scale.
Right. Oh my God, this I think is going to help a lot of people out there because they have this idea that I'm very passionate about it. Though there are roadblocks, they continue doing
Correct.
it. So yeah, this is amazing. So Mayank, I think watched a reel, a video on one of your social media platforms, and there was this lady in a corporate setup where she's trying to focus, and she's finding it very difficult. She has a deadline, and then there suddenly comes a very cool guy giving her a pack of your Good Gum products. So, and it claims that this is going to help you improve focus and get things done. So for me, that was very surprising. Does this really happen, and what's the entire logic or science behind it?
So yeah, like you said in the introduction, it's a small product which has not been disrupted. In fact, chewing gums are a game changer.
Okay.
Like a lot of people use it for very different use cases, and if used right, it can solve a lot of problems. Right? For example, a lot of people chew gum to stay focused in class when they're feeling sleepy, or people who are driving long if they feel sleepy in the late hours. They chew gum because that keeps blood circulation on around the brain, right? Because you're chewing, the muscles around your cheek are active, and that's pumping
So there's
blood into
science
the
to it.
brain. It has 100% science to it. Second, there's xylitol in our chewing gum. That's basically every 1 rupee chewing gum in the market has sugar as a sweetener.
Okay.
And as you know, sugar causes cavities.
Right.
Right. So eating one of those chewing gums is equivalent to eating a candy.
Okay.
But if you're eating a sugar-free chewing gum, especially what we have is xylitol, it helps you fill up cavities, right?
Oh, okay.
So it's opposite of what a sugar chewing gum would do. So how we also endorse our gums is saying you'll probably spend 4K with a 4,000 rupees at a dentist to get your cavities filled, but rather you can eat a 6 rupee chewing gum probably every day and
Wow.
you'll not have to go get your cavities filled up, right? And that's the difference between India and US as a market, because over there chewing gums are a necessity. People definitely chew gum after their meal because they can't afford to get cavities. Dentistry is super expensive.
Yeah.
I have friends in Italy that fly to Poland to get their dentistry work done.
Wow.
Because it's so expensive to do it in Italy, they just take a flight, right? And that is going to happen in India. Right now, we are a very reactive society. We'll say, हाँ ठीक है, cavities होगा तो देखा जाएगा, right? But people need to start getting proactive and take better care of their teeth. And one problem that we're solving is 1 out of 2 people in the country have some kind of oral problems like cavities or gingivitis or plaque, etc. So chewing gum solve that problem as well. Another use case for chewing gums is a lot of people who feel like eating something sweet after a meal,
Right.
but are diabetic or are looking to curb their cravings. Chewing gums help them satiate. Another use case is a lot of doctors prescribe chewing gums to people who have acid reflux.
Oh, really?
And once you've had a very heavy meal, if you're popping a chewing gum in your mouth, you're going to be chewing it, and it helps you salivate more.
Oh.
So that saliva is going to help you, reduce the burning sensation of the acid in your stomach. So there's lots of use cases around it, and we're actually diving deeper and making products that improve those very use cases. So we're making a caffeinated chewing gum that will actually help you focus.
Wow.
That will actually give you energy. So that would be a game changer for athletes, for people who game, etc. We're making a digestive chewing gum with digestive juices.
Right.
So it's a win-win. So you're going to salivate more, but you're also taking in enzymes and probiotics that actually help your gut.
Nice.
We're also making a chewing gum that's de-stressing. So like an evening chewing gum that can, kind of mellow you down with
It's
a few...
like your chamomile tea or something.
Yeah. So flavors with chamomile, with a little bit of ashwagandha, etc.
Wow. All right. So I think this is a boon for a lot of mothers, if I can say, because so I would like to ask, can children chew this? Is it safe?
Yeah.
And what if they gulp?
Chewing gums, children can definitely chew it. A lot of mothers, in fact, give good gum to their kids instead of candy, because candy has artificial colors and sugar that will give them a sugar rush and make them restless and give them cavities.
Right.
Whereas on the contrary, our chewing gums have xylitol that will take care of their teeth, is as tasty as candy. So it's a win-win, right? And because we are a very nascent company, we've not done clinical trials to say what happens if they swallow it.
Right.
For kids, we specially say to the parents that, let them consume in your supervision and tell them that it needs to be discarded. But maybe once we scale, we'll be able to do a clinical trial. But coming from the fact that it's a plant-based ingredient, there's nothing harmful that can come off it. So
Right.
I can't still say whether it's okay to gulp it, but it's plant-based, right? So
Awesome.
say probably grass. If you eat grass, cows can digest it, humans cannot, right? But it's still okay for you. It might probably take some time longer to digest.
Oh, interesting. We've spoken so much about sugar, and we know that you have a little background in nutrition and food science and all of that. We see that, sugar is creeping in literally everything that we eat these days. And, it's become very accessible, available to everyone. So can you name 3 or 4 food items, that we consume on a daily basis, but we definitely shouldn't be doing it?
On a daily basis, like your coffee has so much sugar. So majority of the Indian population crave for that masala tea or coffee at different points in the day. It's not for the tea or the coffee, but it's for the sugar and the milk in the tea and coffee.
The rush.
Yeah, so you can actually do an experiment. So if you think you're addicted to tea or you'll not be able to function without a chai, you'll be surprised that if you actually take the milk out and the sugar out and just drink the black tea, you'll still not be satiated. Right?
True.
So you're actually looking for that sugar rush. Than the tea aspect of it, right? So your tea and coffee contribute a lot to your sugar consumption. There's a lot of sugar in jams and ketchups. Invariably, we eat ketchup. In fact, ketchup contains more amount of sugar per 100 grams than a lot of desserts as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's one. Another very bad product that all of us consume on a daily basis is any beverage that has sugar, right?
Correct.
It's okay to eat a cookie with sugar than consuming a beverage with sugar, because a cookie is coming with a little bit of fiber. It is going to regulate the amount of sugar that goes into your bloodstream, but a beverage goes straight into your bloodstream.
So when you say beverage, it is
your Coca-Cola,
drinks,
your Sting, or anything. If you're consuming sugar in a liquid form, that's the worst kind of sugar that you should be consuming, because you're not going to feel full at all. An example is, a person cannot eat 6 oranges at once.
Correct.
But a person can drink a juice of 6 oranges at once.
True.
Right? Because there's no fiber in it. When you're eating an orange, the fiber comes along and that makes you feel full. Your stomach gives a signal to the brain saying, hey, I can't take more. But when you're consuming a juice, because there's no fiber, it goes straight into your bloodstream and you're just going to get a sugar rush. So, fruit juices, a lot of people think, oh, I'm drinking juice, I don't drink tea and coffee.
Correct.
The fruits by itself have natural sugar, and if consumed without the fiber, if it's strained, then it's equivalent to drinking just water and sugar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your orange juice, for example, orange, sweet lime, watermelon, if it is strained, it's equivalent to water and sugar mix. That's all.
Man, that's going to be quite an eye-opener for a lot of them because people just gulp it down thinking it's healthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just ask yourself that question: if you can eat those 6 oranges.
Yeah.
A lot of brands show off on the packaging saying this bottle contains juice of 3 apples.
Right.
Can you eat 3 apples at once? You can't.
You can't. True. Okay. Again, coming to sugar, it's the buzzword these days, and the junk food in general. We see that a lot of celebrities out there. I think I've watched a couple of interviews of maybe Alia Bhatt or Sonakshi Sinha or even Tiger Shroff. They, acknowledge the harmful effects of sugar. But then we also see, that they go out there and endorse all these junk products, big time. In fact, I was watching a podcast, I think, of Samantha, and she says that it's been like a year now that she doesn't endorse any of those products. She gets it through 3-4 doctors, and that's crores of money. I mean, a lot of money there. So, I want to ask this to you: does it really make a difference? People who are popular, people who are, celebrities out there, can they influence, the general public to, what to buy or choose healthier options? So, yeah.
100%. I feel like there's a requirement for these celebrities to take ownership of what they endorse.
Right.
Jasprit Bumrah endorses thumbs up. I'm pretty sure he does not even take a sip of that. Right. But what happens to the larger population? The kids think that drinking thumbs up is going to give that energy rush to them, and they're going to bowl as fast as Jasprit Bumrah. It puts out a very wrong message.
Correct.
And for example, like even if there's a small snippet of Virat Kohli consuming a snack bar or a particular protein shake, even though he's not endorsing that product, a lot of people go to those websites and order that product because the Virat Kohli is consuming
the face value.
Exactly. So there's a requirement, or the need of the hour is for brands, for celebrities to endorse brands that they themselves consume.
Correct.
Right? And not put their mouth where the money is.
True.
So definitely there'll be a lot of change if people out there just go outside and say, hey, I'm not going to endorse a pan masala, or I'm not going to endorse, like Akshay Kumar. He did not endorse that pan masala brand, or he actually put a lot of money into charity.
Achha.
But then he went on to go and endorse that Sting, which is that energy drink with a lot of sugar. Right. He himself does not consume a lot of sugar. And that one drink is equivalent to your daily allowance of sugar of a day.
Oh my.
So if you've had one of that beverage, you can't have more added sugar than that. If you're eating more than that, then you're probably going to be obese, you're probably going to be diabetic. So WHO says you can consume only 25 grams of added sugar in a day. And that drink possibly has about 20 to 22
And it's
grams.
Easily available. I mean, everybody's...
So absolutely. So like kids can just walk in without any ID cards, can consume that for 20 rupees. And that amount of caffeine at that small age, like
Scary.
I've seen kids at the age of 12, 13, and that drink contains about 60 to 70 milligrams of caffeine in a small bottle. That's equivalent to 2 cups of coffee, right? And a person can consume 2 or 3 easily. So over time, their body is going to become very, very, used to that much amount of caffeine, and they'll be requiring a lot more to be functioning.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So, now we will dive into the tank. The Shark Tank. So, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there. We see they're on the tank. They're very passionate about their products, services, and great products and services there. But we also see that, most of them, I don't know. I mean, I've heard from a lot of sharks saying that, looks like you have only come here for marketing, right? Maybe you don't want the funding, or probably you don't need the mentorship, but I don't see anything wrong with it because if you can be out there on national television and, showcasing your product, why not? Right? So what was your journey like? When you went with Good Gum there, your pitch, you were thinking, okay, will I get that deal? Or was it just being there for the exposure and showcasing your product?
No, for us, it was more of, proving a point. Initially, when we started off, there was a lot of people around thinking, what is Mayank doing? Like, why is he solving a chewing gum problem? Right?
Really?
Like, it's a tiny problem. Like, what can you make out of a chewing gum business? Especially coming from a Marwadi background. There are businessmen selling steel or, like large infra, glass and plywood, stuff like that, which is like large turnover businesses. And here I am solving a small chewing gum, which is a 1 rupee product. Like, what sizable business can I make out of it?
Right.
And not just that, a lot of supermarketeers, especially where we wanted to retail, they were very skeptical about the product. They said, hey, Indian people consume cheap chewing gums. Why do you want to, how are you going to sell an expensive chewing gum to people? Or why do you want to make even that product natural, right? Like there's enough number of natural products out there. There are like healthy snacks, healthy beverages.
Right.
I don't think people care about chewing gums, right? Even investors thought that it's a small market size, like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast. So for us, it was just to go out there on the national television, and we knew that we ticked all the boxes for Shark Tank. It was an innovative product. It was a product that could get people go like, what, like, have I been chewing plastic all this while? It was a business started at home, so it would make sense for Shark Tank to put us out there that two brothers took a small loan from their father and built a business. So we knew we'll definitely get there if we applied, and we just wanted to go out there and prove a point, saying the smallest problems need to be solved, and there's a requirement of entrepreneurs to do it. Like not everybody should be in the large businesses. There have to be smaller businesses that need to be solved as well, and
they can become large.
And they can become large. You just start somewhere.
Right.
So our idea was to go out there, and if we did get a funding, great. If we did not, great, because marketing is going to happen for sure. To be honest, there was some creator who said, going on to Shark Tank is like getting 3 crores worth of free marketing.
Wow.
Right? Because the number of podcasts that you get invited for, like I'm here today, post your time on Tank, the viewership of the YouTube video of the Shark Tank episode itself, the number of stores that came inbound to us saying, hey, we want to retail your product, the number of international inquiries we got. So there was like a lot of free marketing that happened.
Right.
And getting that tag of X Shark Tank, etc., takes you a long way. So yeah, there's a win-win for anything. Even if you don't get a deal, even if you probably get snagged by the sharks, like you made it there, right? Out of a 140 crore population, you made it there. So you still made a point.
Yeah. Interesting. You said that it'll be great to apply. So I think this question, is going to help a lot of people out there who have their businesses and services and they're looking for mentorship and they're doing their business well, but now they're looking at scaling. Right. So how do they go on the Tank? Is it, they have to apply, register, or, the makers come to you, probably the channel. So what's the behind the scene process like?
So for the larger population, it's a very simple process where I think the application is floated on Sony Live, the app, around June, July. You just need to fill a preliminary form. So there are like 4 steps of getting into the TV round. So the first round is just a basic due diligence of what your business is, whether or not you have a GST registration. Just for them to, just for the organizers to get to know whether these guys are real or not, right? The second step is a larger form, which is about 20 questions, where they're asking you a lot of different questions as to how did you start the business, and other things to get to know you personally, how are you related with the co-founder, etc., etc. So that's the second form. And once you're through that, so if you're through that, you're possibly getting onto the TV round, because that's where a lot of people give up. 20 questions where you need to write essay kind of answers. It does get to people's minds, right? And it's not as easy as just an MCQ. That's really when the organizers make a way out. Okay, these guys want to be here, whereas these guys are just filling the form for the heck of it, right? So if you're filling those forms really well, there's a higher chance that you graduate to the next one. The next round is for you to upload a 1-minute pitch, the founders pitching the product, just to see if these guys are screen confident, whether the product is presentable. And then after 3 months, I think all of this would take about 3 months. Then is when they call you for an audition. For ours, we had to go to Bombay, but I think now they have rounds in Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, so you don't have to fly, etc. And this audition is in front of the lights, in front of not the real sharks, but people who pose to be sharks are going to stress interview you. And over there, I think they're just testing whether you again look good in front of camera, because it's national television. They have to
TRPs matter.
They have to make sure that it's a good story. The founders can talk, or they're not stammering, or they know their product well. So over there, they're going to grill you about your numbers, etc.
Oh.
And so if you're confident there, is then when they call you for the TV round.
So when, the final thing comes up there, your pitch is scripted by them, or, it comes from you?
So the initial 40-second pitch that people usually walk into the tank and give is something that they give you.
Acha.
Because again, it's national television.
Right.
In fact, for us, I wanted to walk into the tank chewing a plastic cover. And Bhuvan would ask me saying, hey, what are you doing? And I'd say, this is what the whole world has been doing all this time.
I think you have it in one of your reels as well.
In my reel, yeah. So we wanted to do that. And we had our own pitch that we also did in the audition. But then the organizers said, like this would look gross on national television. Right. We said, okay, like we'll go as you want us to do. Then the rest of the conversation, that's not scripted. The question answers with the shark, etc., that's not scripted.
Okay, that's very spontaneous.
That's more like an interview, just like what we're having right now.
Awesome. And I think you had some fun moments on the sets as well, right? I mean, it was a very fun, candid conversation with the sharks. So what I would want to ask is, post your deal, what happens? And I mean, are the sharks available, for mentorship? Are they accessible? That's a very, very big thing that a lot of people want to know, because people think, whatever happens stays on TV and uske baad zyada kuch materialize nahi hota. Is that the fact, or what is it like?
No, I think that's the wrong information that has gone out there because of a few businesses that didn't go through due diligence. Right. So what happens after the tank is that they will do a proper due diligence on your business, verify every figure that you mentioned on the tank. Because what happens in the tank is the sharks don't know which brand is coming in.
Correct.
The sharks don't have their phones. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So the brands can literally just bluff numbers, right? And the sharks cannot verify. Right. So the deal is given on screen just on the basis of whether or not they liked what you said on the tank, right? So if I am not doing a 10 crore revenue, but I'm just doing a 1 crore revenue and I just said 10 crores, obviously the shark would be interested and would give me a deal. And post that, when they do due diligence, is when they see, okay, these guys just lied.
Fake numbers.
Is when these brands don't end up getting the funding. And these are the founders who are going out there and saying that, the sharks
the
don't
grapes are sour.
or the money doesn't come in. But that's not the case, right? If you're honest and if your answers are real, then the deal does happen. And about the sharks being available for mentorship, look, I mean, it's not that they're going to handhold you.
Right.
But it's about how you utilize their presence, right? It's when you ask them that, if I'm going to Bombay, I make it a point to, write to Anupam Mittal, to write to Vinita Singh saying, hey, I'm going to be in Bombay for these dates. Are you available? And if they're available, definitely they'll give you that time, right? They're not going to come on to a video call with you every week and, ask you how was the week and all of that. Because they've obviously invested in like hundreds of companies and they're not going to handhold you. So it's a larger aerial view problem solution that they can give you. You want some connects, you want to leverage their contacts. If you ask, they will give you. They'll not proactively give you as much. But if they feel there's a fit somewhere, then obviously they're going to loop you.
So has it worked for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've met the sharks multiple times and I've got some really good criticism, constructive criticism from the sharks, which is very important, right? It's not supposed to always be rosy.
Absolutely.
And because these guys have built large businesses, they know what works, what are the pitfalls that small entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs can fall into. And they'll just give you that bird's eye view saying you're going in the wrong direction here, maybe you should go here. So that kind of mentorship is what they usually give. They'll not say, hey, you should be using this plugin on your Shopify, or like these are the kind of ads that you should be running. That's again a false expectation that entrepreneurs can have from sharks.
All right. Yeah. So what has been your biggest learning after Shark Tank, Mayank?
My biggest learning has been, again, honesty plays a very important part in building a business, right? Yes, we know our chewing gums are not the tastiest of them all. Yes, we know our packaging is not the best of them all. But if you as a founder are vulnerable or open to getting feedback and criticism and skepticism, etc., and ready to make changes as per your consumers or investors, you will grow. You will go a long way. And to be honest, when we were on the tank, our revenue was 8 lakh a month, right? And we were asking a valuation of 10 crores, which is a 10x revenue multiple. And usually if you see Namita Thapar, she will say, hey, you're asking a very high revenue multiple.
True.
Why is your valuation very, very high? But we were very honest there. We said, we built this profitably. If we had funding, maybe we could have a larger revenue.
Right?
We were bootstrapped. Yeah. And we told them that, see, yes, these are the things we are improving about the chewing gum. Yes, you also spoke about the packaging. Like Aman Gupta lifted the plastic pack and he said, this looks so ugly. And we said, yes, that's a problem we're looking to solve. So we were vulnerable out there on national television. And our revenue was small, but we said, we built this profitably. If we had access to funds, maybe our numbers would have been better.
Right.
And then the valuation would be better justified to you. But that honesty and that sincerity showed there, and nobody even questioned our valuation.
Right.
They just said, okay, if not 10 crore, take the 8 crore valuation and the deal is done.
Right.
So over time, we've realized that, don't ever lie about your numbers. Don't ever lie about what your product does or does not.
Right.
Right. Don't make false claims that this chewing gum is going to make you, like meditate like Buddha does. Just pitch what works. And getting approval on a platform like Shark Tank really, push that value very deeply in us, saying, okay, this is how we should be building the company, and this is what would go a long way.
Awesome. Just as you said, you need to be very, very honest about your product. I also happened to see a video of yours where, they say that one particular gum, GUD GUM, improves your jawline.
Yeah.
I mean, is it true? For me, that was like, really? Does this happen?
Again, there are no clinical trials that we've done, but if you actually even go on to Google or ChatGPT and ask, like, how do I sharpen my jawline? One of the most accepted answers you'll find is you
sans
should chew
the
gum.
Surgery.
Yeah, sans the surgery is you should chew gum. Okay. And like theoretically, it does make sense. You are chewing, you are, like basically putting into practice your jaw muscles and your cheek muscles. So if I'm consistently doing bicep curls with a dumbbell, obviously I'll get better biceps. So I think it should fundamentally work. Although we've not done clinical trials, but maybe we should do it on some 20-30 people and show before after photos, and that would be a good advertisement to.
I know. Mayank, what happens? I mean, this may not be anything to do with business, but I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of them, because when someone's coming up with an innovative idea, people say, "Pagal hai, ye nahi chalega." Shark Tank pe jayega, ye nahi hoga, and funding to bilkul nahi milegi. I mean, there's no way, things could work out. So, at any point of time, did you feel, demotivated?
Yeah.
Probably you loomed into self-doubt. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And how did you actually overcome that?
Yeah, like a couple of times. One is, I think Instagram, as much as it is a boon, I think it's more of a bane. When I finished my master's and came back, when I look at my classmates, they are well settled in their big corporate jobs, driving fancy cars. And it's very easy for me to scroll on Instagram and, feel a little submissive, or I feel a little sad saying, okay, see, he was studying with me and he's driving a BMW, but here I am still on my two-wheeler going to stores and pitching my product, right? So that culture or that, like comparison always happens. And I've seen a lot of young entrepreneurs fall into that trap. So it took me a lot of time to, then say that, okay, sabka time aata hai.
Correct.
Like, for us, it's going to be a larger payout at a later stage. Right now, you're just not burning money, but you're burning your own time to build something that will fruit at a later stage. So that used to happen for a long time initially, but then I grew over it, and now I don't consume a lot of data on Instagram. It's a very business relation with Instagram where, I just consume data from a few creators that I like, and I would put out some reels and not look at a lot of personal stuff from other people. So that's one. The second time was Anupam Mittal. He ordered the gums on our website.
Okay.
And me being that curious founder, I look at every name of every customer to see if there's any celebrity who's ordered, just so that we can get that free amount of marketing. And I realized that it's actually the Anupam Mittal. And I waited for a couple of days after it got delivered, and I dropped him a WhatsApp message shamelessly asking, hey, did you try the gum? Did you like it? And then he replied, he said, they're awful. Like chewing gums are something people usually get excited about. And now there's you who is, looking to make that also healthy. Like, why can't you let a product like chewing gum be? And he said, like, good luck with how you're going to scale this, whatever. And I said, okay, like, obviously that's like one hammer, no, you're going
Right.
at full speed
But you
asking,
took that critical
excited.
feedback.
Yeah, and that day I was like, dude, I should shut this company down. If a person I look up to does not like the product, then what's the point of being in business, right? But then, I just thought of the day I started, right, and that really helped me reconnect with the why of why I started my business. And then went back to office all fresh next day, listed down the feedback, and then came up with a proper plan, saying, okay, how can we cater to these feedbacks and see how we can change his or overturn his feedback.
Right.
And fast forward 9 months, in the tank, we walked out from a check from him. And on the backside of the check, he also wrote, not just good gum, but the greatest gum ever.
Wow.
Right? So if you really believe in your own skill set and if you believe in your product, I think like you can overturn any situation. So these are like a couple of days when I thought, like maybe I should not be doing this or
Right.
But
But has people's perspective changed, post Shark Tank with you? I mean, do they behave differently?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Like a lot of investors who only wanted to sit on the fence, saying, we want to observe, we'll see how you're going to be scaling this business.
Right.
Because the only thing it always boils down to, hey, you're solving a very small market.
Right.
And all they do is just, reach out to us every quarter asking for our monthly income sheet to see how we've been growing.
Correct.
But there's nothing tangible that, hey, we want to invest, right? So a lot of these investors then wanted to start, talking, because you went on to national television and the nation is talking about you. Similarly, a lot of supermarkets who were skeptical, like a basic corner shop on, where I bought snacks all my life, who was skeptical to sell good gum, thinking, whether this will sell or no.
Right.
Even despite him being a shop that I've bought my product since childhood, he should be the first person to sell my product.
Correct.
He said, no, maybe I don't want to sell this. But then post Shark Tank, he is the one who's asking, saying, hey, can you send me this product? So these small changes definitely do happen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mayank, you also spoke about, limited time on Instagram, and you spoke about you follow only few creators out there. So before asking names who you follow, I'd also like to ask, these days you see that influencers, so-called influencers, they call them health influencers, lifestyle influencers, and literally promote and endorse anything left, right, and center. Yeah. So what is your take on that?
I think influencers are no less than these Bollywood celebrities, right? Because they might be using a Dove, the soap,
right,
but endorsing Lux. Just a wide example,
right?
But I think influencers, the word influence is a very wrong word, right? What the world needs with nutrition and health is education and not influence, right?
Correct.
People out there are just giving out their perspectives and views. But a population like India with a very undereducated crowd or a crowd that is not historically known for researching or doing their own research, right? Like my mom would blindly just believe what my neighbor auntie said.
Correct.
Right? And she would only believe what she wants to believe in her mind. True. Right? So I feel a lot of influencers out there are just going out there and spreading propaganda. There are a lot of umbrella statements, blanket statements made, such as the longer the shelf life of your product, the more the preservatives it might contain, and the faster you will die.
You don't agree with this?
Absolutely not. Like I have an MSc in food science, and the person who said this has no educational background in food or nutrition. He's an investment banker. And him going out and just throwing a stone at the processed food industry, I'm not here to take it, right?
Okay.
Because I can give tons of examples of products that don't have any preservatives but have long shelf lives and will not kill you, right?
Okay.
For example, a can of beans, right? That's a retort technology product, and it was developed back in the days when people or the soldiers were fighting the Second World War. And in very bad conditions, they required food. Now, retort as a technology does not require any preservatives. The food is safe to eat. The nutrition, to some extent, is controlled. But that does not mean processing is bad here.
Okay.
It has a 24-month shelf life, but it has a zero preservative and it's not killing anybody, right? So, processing food is required. That's the need of the hour. The tons of food is wasted at the farms because there's not good processing at source. For example, if a farmer is not able to sell all his mangoes right then and there in the season, what will he do? Will he face a loss? But if this mango goes into a processing facility that then makes, mango puree, which is retorted again without any preservatives, which companies can then use to make juices later on, right? Okay, the other side, there are brands like Fruity that add a lot of sugar into this puree, but this puree is processed, it's reducing waste on this side. There's the farmer being paid fair, and the food is not getting wasted, and this food can be consumed at least over 12 to 24 months later on, right?
Okay.
So you can't go out there and make blanket statements that people will blindly, believe. I do a lot of these courses at schools where I teach kids how to read labels, right?
Okay.
So that's education. I don't go out there and say, hey, this Bonvita is bad for you, or you should not drink Bonvita, or you should not drink Fruity, or you should not eat Cheetos. There is a requirement of those products in your daily lifestyle. Maybe if your kid is consuming 6 packs of Cheetos a week, bring that down to half pack of Cheetos a week, right? But that is his way of indulgence, right? So you can't boycott. If you can train your kids to understand how much to eat, when to eat, how to eat, that's better than influencing.
Okay.
Right? So I feel there's a need for educative content more than influencing. So that word, when people say, hey, I make reels as well. And a lot of people say, oh, you're a food influencer. I say, I'm not an influencer. I don't influence my viewers to buy a particular product. I educate my viewers that, hey, this is how much sugar you should eat, or hey, if you're drinking Red Bull, this is how much you should drink, or if you're consuming a certain product, this is when you should be consuming, right? Basis of theory, basis of facts. I'm not going to, just because some company is paying me, I'm not going to endorse that product. If I consume that product myself, and that's the ethos I have as well. All the products that I have built in the past, or companies that I've consulted for, have been products that I would consume myself. Okay. There have been people who have come to me in the past saying, I want to build an energy drink company. Can you help me figure out manufacturing, etc.? But I said, I am not going to consume an energy drink for the rest of my life. So I'm not going to pick this project, even though it pays me well.
Wonderful.
Go to a CEO of a Coca-Cola and ask him whether he consumes Coke every day. Maybe not, right? So I don't want to sell any product or make any product that I would not consume every day. But again, going back to the point, not all processed food is bad, and just people don't believe, just don't believe the fact that every processed food is bad.
That's quite an eye-opener.
Knowledge out there.
Awesome. All right. Again, coming to creators. So 3 creator names that you think, people should actually go out and follow for information, for education, for awareness.
I think, again, the creators, all of them out there, after getting to a point, they start becoming commercial.
Okay.
Right. So I can actually not, I can't even count on my fingers. Rather, I would endorse the fact that now there's the beauty of ChatGPT there, right?
Oh, okay.
Do your own research. Ask the engine the questions, and it will give you the best feedback that you require. So I don't think I can give you those names.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, so now we will move towards, the entrepreneurship side or the business side of it, because we have a lot of learners out there, young people who watch this podcast. India is booming, when it comes to food business. And, what is it that you think, where is this market going to go? How far is it going to reach? And should people actually look out for something in this particular FMCG industry? Yes.
Yeah. So I think you can see a lot of indie brands have come up, smaller brands that are better than the larger brands. So on one side is the larger CPG companies, where I think 70 or 80% of a supermarket shelf is controlled by about 12 to 14 companies in the world.
Okay.
Right. So these are companies like Unilever, Mars, etc. So they have lots of products underneath them. Right. And on the other side, there's just 20% of a supermarket shelf that is being controlled by the smaller brands. So there is a requirement of smaller brands to come in and solve problems our way. Now, for a Unilever or a Britannia to make a change in their biscuit would take a year or so, right? Because their supply chain is so deeply engrossed. Getting to change their factory programs is so difficult.
See this, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this word supply chain, if you can explain it in, layman's language for people to understand, how do I get my food on my plate?
Okay, so for example, let's talk about cookies, right? Britannia making some biscuit. Now, the biscuit has 10 different ingredients.
Okay.
10 different ingredients coming from 10 different suppliers, right? And these come periodically, probably once a month or once in 2 months, etc. Right? So there's a lot of planning that goes in when a new flavor of Jim Jam is launched. They need to plan from the store level that, okay, these guys think they want to sell in 10,000 stores.
Okay.
How much product would be required to stack in these 10,000 stores, and do the backward calculation and then place orders for these raw materials with their vendors. That if I'm launching a new flavor, then I need these 10 different ingredients. So it takes that amount of planning to come from the store level to the factory and then to the vendor. So for them to launch a new product will take very long. But for a startup, if you give me a feedback today about my chewing gum, because my product is not mass produced and it's produced in small batches, I can make a change in the product just in the evening batch today.
Wow.
Right? So that's the agility that startups can bring in, and there is a requirement for these smaller brands to come in and disrupt those industries. And a good example is Yoga Bar, right? I really look up to Yoga Bar as a brand. At least when they started off, snack bar as an industry did not exist, right? There was no snack bars back then. Now everybody talks about snack bars, everybody carries snack bars, etc. Back then there were no snack bars. So the two sisters did the heavy lifting of educating people about snack bars, made a healthy product, and sold a product that was expensive for those times. Snack bars are still expensive, right? But over time, they hammered the thought that, okay, a snack bar is a necessity. A person should consume these, right? And over time, they then got acquired by ITC. Now, what happens is they solved the problem at the grassroots level, probably in a few cities, built a sizable product, sizable business, and then got acquired by a larger company like ITC. Because why would ITC as a larger CPG brand acquire a smaller company? Obviously, they also feel somewhere that there is a market for snack bars coming up, and the fastest way for them to create a presence in that industry was to acquire a Yoga Bar, right? So Yoga Bar did all the heavy lifting, and now ITC puts in their distribution channel. So if Yoga Bar was selling in 2,000 stores, ITC sells their products in 50,000 stores. So they can take that very healthy, good product to the larger audience, right? So there is a requirement for smaller brands to come solve problems in smaller geographies, do a proof of concept, prove a point, and then automatically there'll be larger brands that get acquired. There's so many brands that have got acquired by larger companies in the past 6-7 months.
It's done good for both.
Absolutely. It's a win-win, right? Absolutely. Like for me, if I think there is a requirement for a healthy ice cream, a Unilever, to launch a healthy ice cream for Unilever in the Quality Walls brand name would be very difficult, right? They maybe won't want to do it because they are known for indulgence, right? They don't want to launch a healthy product. But what they can do is they can acquire a healthy brand and give them the distribution muscle. And for the outside population, they don't even know that this is a Unilever brand. Right? So that's how, like larger brands and smaller brands can work in tandem.
Awesome. Okay, so I think, Mayank, this is a question I really want to ask. जब भी आप Instagram खोलते हो ना, people only talk about brown bread, brown rice. There's so much obsession with it. What is the truth behind it?
Brown bread is a joke, right? Majority of the brands out there, so what happens is for a bread to be called brown, it needs to have more unrefined wheat flour, which is atta, than maida, which is refined wheat flour. So a lot of these brands do what they do. If they were using 100% maida in the white bread, they will use 51% atta and 49% maida in that bread. And if it still doesn't look very brown, they add a color, 150A, which is the color that is also added into Coca-Cola. Yeah. So a brown bread is just brown because of the color, and it's not like if you're eating brown bread, that's like the healthiest. That's not the case. But with brown rice, yes, it has the husk on it, so it gets digested slowly, metabolized slowly by the body. Essentially, for diabetic people, they should not have a lot of sugar spike. So if our body has a sugar level, right? It has to be maintained consistently. When you consume some carbohydrate or sugar, like white rice, it goes up. When it goes up, for diabetic people, that can pose a risk to their other organs, etc. With brown rice, what happens, because there's fiber on the rice itself, it gets digested slowly. So that sugar, if it went up like this for white rice, it might just go up here in the brown rice. So Brown rice is not as much as a fad, but brown bread definitely is.
Okay.
And like white bread, for example, is not bad either, right? For example, well, this is one thing I want to address is a lot of people paint a very bad picture about white bread or,
Correct.
factory made bread, etc. If everybody could afford a sourdough artisanal bread, would a factory exist? No. A common artisan on the road who is probably a mason, who's lifting bricks all day and toiling in the sun, the cheapest food for him is going to be white bread. It is giving him his amount of carbohydrates and a little bit of protein, right? And that's affordable for him, right? So that doesn't mean white bread is great either.
Correct.
So again, you need to understand what's good for you, what's good for them. I have a sedentary lifestyle. Maybe I just sit for 6 hours a day because my work requires me to do that. Then maybe white bread is not best for me.
Correct.
But for that person who's toiling in the sun and he can't afford an artisanal bread, white bread is great for him, right?
Right.
So again, hammering the point that not all processed food is bad. There is a if the whole world was a jigsaw puzzle, then that is one piece that fills it up as well.
Right.
Otherwise, what would they eat? Can everybody make rice everywhere, right?
Possible.
It solves for convenience as well.
Right. So Mayank, there's so much noise about health, everybody's saying something. There's a lot of gyan out there on internet, on social media, everywhere. So, and everybody wants to, they aspire to be healthy. So what are 3 simple, practical ways that you can, implement in your life to, move towards a healthy lifestyle?
I think with respect to food, one is to basically curb down on the amount of sugar we consume, right? Like now, brands have made it, for brands, it's very easy to add sugar into something and make it tasty, right? So just start understanding how much sugar your cookie has or how much sugar your beverage has or whatever, and try to curb that down to less than 25 grams of added sugar a day.
Okay.
So your bananas, oranges have natural sugar, so don't count that. But if any processed food you're consuming, then amount of added sugar, the amount of sugar you add into your coffee, etc., keep that under 25 grams. At least consume 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kg of your body weight. So if I weigh 60 kgs, I require at least 60 grams of protein in my diet to sustain my body's sedentary operations. Now, if I am an athlete, if I work out, if I'm lifting weights, etc., that requirement goes up to 1.2 to 1.5 grams. And India is a very, very protein deficient country.
Right.
And all of these issues like obesity, diabetes, etc., is so widespread because we as a vegetarian first country, protein is very minimal in our diet. So protein is very important. And the third thing would be for people to just move, right? Like at least 30-35 minutes, if you can sweat it out, that's great. So these are 3 things that you can start right now, which is very easy to do. And when I said protein, I'm not endorsing a protein powder or anything. Whatever floats your boat, right? If you can eat 200 grams of protein, eat 200 grams of protein. If you can eat dal, right? For me, it's easier to consume whey protein. I'll consume whey protein. So everybody has their own way of taking their protein.
So talking about protein, you have come up with something, na? Your chocolates have 4 grams of protein is what I...
So we do good pops. Basically, it's how Nutties is there. Now it's an indulgent product. So we've used chocolate and we've coated it with, we've used roasted chana and coated it with chocolate.
So it's a better for you product.
It's a better for you product.
Right.
Yes. So that's where we are at. So India, say our consumption is very indulgent. We can't give them overly healthy. We've got to take them slowly from here to then here. Otherwise, if I have to pull them here, then to a very healthy product, then people are in their comfort zone. They'll be like, dude, it just doesn't float the boat.
Right. Awesome. So now one last question I'd like to ask you, Mayank, for beginners or say for dummies, how do we read food labels?
Oh yeah, so simple ways to start off is every company gives a recommended serving size, right? So if there is a big bar of Boneville or chocolate with you, that doesn't mean you're supposed to eat all of it at once, right? The company recommends you to eat a certain part of it, right? And if you can control that, then you're at least sticking to their norms. So a packet of Oreo, it's very easy to open a packet of Oreo and eat it while you're at work, right? But the company intends you to actually share it with 4 other people, right? Or that pack contains 4 servings. So you can look for that particular number written right there. another thing is the ingredient list is always in the descending order. So the first ingredient in the ingredient list is the ingredient which is in the highest quantity.
Got it.
So if you go out and look at Cadbury Dairy Milk, the first ingredient is sugar.
Sugar. Oh, okay.
So 55% of Cadbury Dairy Milk is sugar.
Oh man.
If you're eating 100 gram Cadbury Dairy Milk, it's 55% sugar. Which means they should not be calling it chocolate. They should be calling it sugar instead, right? And the third or the fourth ingredient is cocoa solids or something like that.
Oh.
Another thing you can look at is the amount of added sugar that product contains. Right? So there's a lot of products that naturally contain sugar.
Sugar, correct.
But there are certain products that have added sugar in it. Now, a lot of brands make false claims. So they will use dates.
Right.
They will use honey.
Right.
They will and call it no added sugar.
But that's sugar.
Because they're not adding sugar into it.
Got it.
But the use case of that palm of the jaggery or the dates is for it to sweeten the product.
Correct.
Right? Now for the naked eye, there's a difference between sugar and jaggery.
Correct.
But for our stomach, both of them get metabolized in the same way.
It's glucose.
It's glucose. It gives the same amount of spike in the blood.
Right.
Maybe the jaggery is minuscule, like very, very small percentage better than sugar.
Right.
That's all. But that doesn't mean just because you're not consuming white sugar, you can take that much amount of jaggery and feel that okay, you're doing something great for your fitness goals. So like it's very difficult for the layman to understand these things. But yeah, ingredient list, serving size, and the third thing was when I said the amount of added sugar that it contains. And keep it under 25 grams of added sugar.
Awesome. I think this is great information.
Yeah.
This was a very, very interesting podcast. But before we wrap this, we definitely have a quick take, more like your rapid fire. Yeah. So some, really interesting questions coming there. So your answers should be like, really quick.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's get into it. One childhood snack you'd love to see reimagined sustainably.
Cheetos.
Cheetos, okay. That's every kid's favorite food out there, all right. What's one food you could eat every day without getting tired of?
Roti, sabzi, dal, chawal every day and not get tired at all.
Yeah?
Yeah,
okay. If you weren't making gum, what food product would you invest in?
Instant food, convenience food.
Convenience food, awesome. One food ingredient that you think is overhyped?
Yeah, jaggery is just overhyped. You go into a jaggery factory. I've been to a jaggery factory. Every day, 1 truck of sugar comes in and 2 trucks of jaggery go out. So you can imagine they're adulterating our own jaggery with white sugar. I've seen it with my naked eye and it's the dirtiest place to be in.
Oh man.
Like you'll never eat jaggery once you see a factory.
In one word, describe your entrepreneurial journey.
Life-changing.
Wonderful. Yeah. If you were a shark, your signature line would be?
Think of this.
I put you in a spot.
Yeah. Talk to me if you're making profit.
Oh, good one. A lot of them are burning it?
Yeah, a lot of money being burnt.
Okay. One shark that you would never want to pitch to?
Ashneer Grover.
My entire team is laughing there. All right. Best compliment you've received about Good Gum?
Not a compliment, but I didn't know that a person with Parkinson's disease would be chewing Good Gum. He's our largest consumer.
Wow.
And his doctor recommended chewing gum to him because he keeps clenching his teeth. Basically, that's the nervous issue that happens. Right. And he consumed Good Gum and he gives us feedback. Wow. He makes it a point to call. And we have like a very good soft corner for him. So even when we are stocked out, we make sure there's a little bit of stock left with us. So you don't know where your product is doing good. So if it's not exactly a compliment, but the use case is really, like warming for the heart.
Absolutely. Name 3 chewing gums that people shouldn't eat at all.
Oh, nice one. Trident.
Okay.
Everybody compares Good Gum to Trident.
Okay.
They say Trident, the flavor lasts very long, but Trident has, if you look at the backpack, you'll see that it has 4 to 5 different artificial sweeteners that are 300 to 600 times sweeter than sugar.
Oh.
Which means if you use 1 gram of that sweetener, it will give the sweetness of 600 grams of sugar. So imagine your body just going, like it's just a nervous confusion that your body goes into. Your tongue thinks it's sweet and signals your brain to release digestive juices in the stomach.
Oh, okay.
But then there's no calorie in it. So there's nothing for the stomach to digest. Right? So Trident has these artificial sweeteners that make it very tricky. And the second 2 will be Boomer and Center Fresh because those are those 1 rupee chewing gums that will give you 4,000 rupee worth of cavities.
Oh, okay. The dentist bills. Okay. Who is your favorite shark amongst all? Don't worry, we won't tell anyone.
My favorite shark is Anupam Mittal.
Anupam Mittal, yeah.
Yeah, because he's...
You've been quite vocal about Anupam Mittal. Next person, other than Anupam Mittal, yeah.
While in the tank, it was Ritesh.
All right.
Because he's a sweetheart. You see him, he's wearing a dolphin t-shirt. He's the dolphin amongst the sharks.
Oh,
he's always smiling. He never intimidates.
Right.
At even a couple of points, he also supported us. Where we were kind of going out of place, where we didn't know how to answer that. He came in with some points and he said, I think this is why they're doing it.
Oh.
So it helped us somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is your go-to snack or go-to restaurant or cafe in Bangalore?
Oh, so I'm a big coffee buff. I love drinking good coffee. So ground up coffee in Bangalore, run by my friends. Really good coffee. Caffeine bar in Jayanagar. Okay. Again, very good coffee. I don't like commercial coffee. And my go-to food, I eat everything like pani puri on the streets with aloo.
Awesome. People are going to love this. Yeah. All right. One food trend you wish would disappear?
Mixing two different cuisines and making a...
Chocolate pani puri?
Oh, disgusting. And putting cheese into everything.
Everything, yeah.
Why can't you let cheese be?
Right.
Yeah, I don't like paneer on my pizza. Like paneer is supposed to be had as a tikka. Why do you want to make a paneer tikka pizza?
Right.
Yeah, so all these fusions.
Right.
Disgusting.
List of red flags on your food label.
First ingredient being sugar. Second ingredient being oil. If there are any spelling mistakes on the packaging. So, for example, if you look at a package of Bourbon, they never write chocolate cream biscuit. They'll write choco creme biscuit, CREME, because they don't use any cream. So they use these word plays to get along.
Manipulative.
And for the larger population, they'll think, oh, isme cream. There's no cream. The filling in between is just palm oil, sugar and color. There's not even cocoa.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So these spelling mistakes, so these things you'll learn once you start getting intrigued about these labels.
That's interesting. Okay, food tech, is it just a hype or is it the future?
It is definitely the future. Like AI will solve for everything, but not food.
Right.
AI may grow your produce, but your factories will be required. A person will be required to design a product. So food tech is definitely the future because you'll not be able to sustain without eating, right?
Right. What's the biggest myth people have about healthy snacks that you want to bust?
इसमें jaggery है तो ये better है. I'm going right at it, like
that jaggery,
because it's a problem I see at home. My mom thinks jaggery is great.
Right.
She's diabetic and she thinks she's not taking sugar in her sweets. She can have jaggery, so that's all right. But that's not the case.
So all the sheera, meetha, everything.
People are very ignorant about all of these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which shark's advice or question has stuck with you the most?
Anupam, he said, like initially in the podcast, he said, go deep and not wide.
Right.
He said, don't add too many flavors, but build 2 or 3 different hero products and get people to eat it a lot more and then add more products. So, because basically people have a very small attention span.
Right.
And how do you get into a person's daily lifestyle is by a pinpointed approach. If I give you 10 products from my brand and ask you to adopt it, you might not. But if I give you one product, you might adopt it.
Right.
So get you as a consumer to eat more of that product and over time build love and add more products which you will trust later.
One right and one wrong thing Shark Tank gets about business.
One right thing is it's just marketing such nice grassroots level businesses. You did not know about so many tier 3, tier 4 or even villages, so much innovation happening. These guys are really, making it a point to endorse those stories.
Wonderful.
And what's wrong is, for them, it again show business, but sometimes putting somebody down so bad just for TRP on TV
on air,
could be very demotivating. So yeah, that's something bad.
All right, the last one. If you had to give one piece of advice to all these young budding entrepreneurs, what would it be?
Build products and services that you yourself would be a consumer of, right? So there's a lot of ways to make money, right? If you're looking to, do frauds with people, just imagine what if something like that happened to your family, right? So it's very important for the new age entrepreneurs to be conscious about or be responsible about what they're selling or what they're serving. And for a lot of people who are looking to start up, a lot of people just have ideas in their mind and they do nothing about it. And that idea in the mind is not going to, like that seed in the mind is not going to become a tree ever.
True.
So my only advice is go out there, make a prototype. If you're making a product, go to Lal Bagh, sell it, get some feedback. At least you did it, right? Otherwise, you're gonna have lots of regrets as you grow up.
So it's all about execution.
Yeah, just execute, right? Like that's the basic thing that you can do, and that's going to differentiate you between the people who did it and who did not.
Awesome. I think what a wonderful note to end on. And I must say, Mayank, this has been a very, very interesting podcast, very informative, a lot of awareness out there. And it was an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.